All right, welcome. This is Wednesday night of week 5. To recap from yesterday, we had our new AI character, and when we press play, this character will move to this waypoint or checkpoint, I think as we called it. And we'll get a little message here at the end. Hey, I made it. Okay, so really cool, but obviously we want it to do more than just go to one waypoint and stop. So, a couple things I wanted to show you before we dive deep into our patrol loop is the more I thought about this checkpoint blueprint, I know we had said not to, where is my checkpoint? Patrol point. No, we said we weren't going to have anything visually here, but I think it would be a little easier to watch and observe our AI if we did actually have something. So I'll leave the billboard in here, but I'm just going to add let's add a cylinder. Or do we have a cone? Yeah, we do. Let's add a cone, like a little traffic cone. And we'll give it a cool shape. So what I did here is I went to add, search components and cone. And let's see if I've got an orange. That would be pretty cool. I've got this little flag material. That should work good. Check that here at the materials. I just scroll down. You could pick anything you want. It doesn't matter. In fact, you don't even have to use a cone. You could make a cylinder, a box. We just want a visual marker on our field. So I will compile and save. Now I should see a little cone over here. That looks good. And let me just make sure that cone is not too big. So I will right click and play from, oh, let me get zoom out of the way. Thank you, Zoom. I will right click and do play from here. And yeah, that looks good. There's a cone. There's the cone that going to, and that's interesting. That one doesn't have a cone. He might have ran over it. Okay, so let's see our checkpoints here. Patrol points, sorry. We have one here, okay? And then we have one here. And let's make sure that these are up off the ground. There we go. Okay. All right, so let's save up everything. And then another point that I wanted to share with you is we don't always have to actually play the game to watch our other characters in motion. There's another play mode right here, the three dots. Of course, you can do play in the viewport, and it'll play it right there. You can also, like we've been doing, play in a full screen window. But another thing to do is, especially if you have a lot of NPC and AI characters, is you can go to this simulate, and this will give you where you can move all over the world, not having to worry about your player. It's kind of like a god's or bird's eye view. So that would be in the simulate. All right. Okay, so let's go back and open up our Defender blueprint. And that's BP AI Defender is the name of mine. Okay, so what we have is we have on begin play, we're going to move and we're going to get a patrol point, and we're basically just going to go there. Now, one thing we want to do is we want to take this off of the begin play. So we want to make this its own kind of self-contained little function. And I'll show you how we'll do that. We're going to hold the Alt button on your keyboard and click on this wire right here. You'll see it light up. and that will disconnect the wire. Okay, so now when we press play, nothing will happen. We have all this code, but nothing happens. So let's create a custom event, and you right click and just start typing custom. Add custom event right here. You can always tell it's the event by this white icon. And I'm going to call this move to next point. All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this up to here. So I now have a new event called move to next point. It's going to get the patrol point, and it's going to move to the destination we want to go to, and then it's going to give us that success message. All right. So let's compile and save and see if our players or our AI starts moving. And I can tell you it's not going to, and I'll show you why. Okay, so we're in here. We had that custom thing, but it's just sitting here. Okay, so that is because we go back to our Defender blueprint. We then have to hook this up to our custom event. And notice you can't hook them up like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag out here, and just like we search for add or AI move, now we have our own little node that we just created here called move to next point. So we'll grab out of here and just type move to next point or move to. There it is. Okay, let's see if that works now. Okay, there's our AI moving. Good. All right. I think we can close that. Okay, so back to our blueprint. Now, what we want to do is, like we talked about at the top of the lesson, is we want to have our AI do a looping patrol. Okay, so we need to create one more variable in our graph here in our blueprint, and this is going to be called next patrol point, or I'm sorry, current patrol point. So click on variables. Let's call it current patrol point. And by default, it's going to try to save it as a Boolean, but this is just going to be an integer. It's going to be an index. So we can click right here, do that, compile, and save. And what this patrol point is going to do is, excuse me, it's going to start at 0. So sorry, Zoom is in the way again. So make sure that the default value of your control patrol point is 0, which it almost always will be after you compile and save. Okay. See if I can hide this guy again. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, get our current patrol point, move to our next patrol point blueprint in our map. And then over here, we're going to increment it and say, okay, now the patrol point, the current one, is not 0, but it's 1. And then when we go through that loop again, we're going to do, okay, now it's 2. So we're going to add 1 every time that our AI character reaches one of our patrol points. All right, so let's grab this guy right here. And we're just going to get the current patrol point. And remember, as default, it is 0. Okay, so instead of having it hard-coded right here like we did yesterday, we are going to hook this up right here. Usually I like to move this guy over here before I do that, but can do that there. All right, we'll compile and save. And next we are going to increment our counter. So we can get rid of this right here. That was just for testing purposes to say that, yes, the AI did arrive at our point there. Okay. So out of this, we did a get. That's still good. Okay. And now we're going to work on the loop. So we still have some work to do. So let's bring current control point. And right here, we're getting it to say, okay, which one are we at? So can you guess what we're going to do next? Are we going to get it again, or are we going to set it? We are going to set it, right? Because we're going to add 1. So on success, we'll set this to whatever our current is, which was 0, right? Plus 1. So if it was, our current point was 2, it would be 3. If it was 8, it would be 9. So let's grab this in here, the current patrol point, and this will be a get. So we're saying, okay, code, what's the current patrol point? Well, when we started here, it's 0. Goes here. We made it to our point, our patrol point. That was a success. All right, now let's add 1. So what we can do here is drag out. You can type add. And actually, one of my students told me you can actually just do plus. It'll go to add. All right. So we're going to get the current index, and we're just going to add 1 to it. And now we will set this to be the new one. So like I said, if we're starting at 0, we go through, it's a success, we're going to add 1. If we started at 3, success, add 1, that'll be 4. Okay. So let's go ahead and compile and save that. And I'm going to go back to the level. I'm going to take these points out and drag them back in. You don't have to do that. I'm just going to do it. Make them a little closer to our character here. Okay, so let's see, BP, patrol point, there's 1. Actually, notice how it's underground, right? So instead of me having to resize it every time I put 1 in, I'm just going to go here and open this up and just move this cone up probably right about there. Should be good enough. Compile, save. Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to drag another one over here and maybe one over here. All right, so let's play and see what happens. He's wanting to come towards me instead of the patrol point. Okay, that's a little odd. Over here, guy. Okay, so we have a little buggy in our code. So let's see what's going on. If we go here, and here's another thing that we can do in blueprints is we can actually simulate it within the blueprint. Okay, so let's go to simulate. This is showing where we're going. Okay. So I'm thinking maybe our patrol points variable needs to be edited. I'm going to take off simulation. And I'm going to type patrol points. I think we did this yesterday and I forgot to save it. array. Now let's try that. Simulate. Still got a little bug there. I'll have to work that out. Let me turn the simulation back off. Try this one more time. BP Patrol. That one, it is an array. Pile and save. Go ahead and save up everything. And one more thing I need to check in my patrol points is to make sure that okay, that's all good. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go back here and we need to add some additional code. So one thing we need to figure out is where, how many patrol points are in the map. Because what's going to happen here, and this happens a lot in other software, is we're always looking for the next index. So if we have 3 in the level and it's wanting to then create the index to be 4, it's probably going to crash the program. So we need to put a clamp on this to say how many are in the level, and if we have exceeded that, if our index patrol point that we have exceeded, then we need to reset everything back to 0. So let's add that here. So right here is where we're incrementing, okay? And what we want to do is we want to get another reference to our patrol points. And from here, instead of doing a get, we are going to do length. And that's going to tell us how many patrol points we have. And patrol points is an array, which we talked about yesterday. If you think of an array like there's an apartment building that has 8 people living in 8 different apartments, and each person has their own mailbox. So apartment 0 has mailbox number 0, apartment 5 has mailbox number 5. What the length tells us is how many apartments, or more specifically mailboxes, are in the apartment complex. And in that case, it would be 8. And in this case, in our map, there's going to be 3, right? So if we went over here and added another one, then our length in our array would be 4. All right. So from here, we want to say, we want to create a branch so that we don't go to an index, we don't create an index that's more than what we have. So we're going to do an if, which is in Unreal Engine. It's called a branch, but you can type if. And we want to create a condition. So we're going to say if the current index, which is this right here, is greater than or equal to the length of this guy right here, then we want to reset everything back to 0. Okay, and I know this is a lot, so let me go through this again. When we reach the first patrol point, which is set to 0, the index is 0, we're gonna move there, obviously, and then we're gonna set the index to be 0 plus 1. And then we're going to go through this whole thing again, except for instead of being 0 right here, this is now going to be 1. And it's going to add 1 every time. And what we need to make sure is that if we only have 3 in the level, it doesn't try to create an index of 4, because that would crash our game, our program. All right, so with the condition here, we want to say, is the number of patrol points that we have greater than or equal? And it's this one right here. greater than or equal. Okay. That is going to be the condition of our branch. So every branch has to have a condition, right? For instance, if is it raining outside? Do we want to bring the umbrella? Condition is raining? Yes. If it is raining, then yes, bring the umbrella. If it's not raining, then no, we don't need the umbrella. But there has to be a condition, right? So is it bedtime? Yes, then go to bed. Is it bedtime? No, don't go to bed. Okay. So we will hook this guy right up here. One of the great things about visual scripting is that the pen colors usually match. So if I tried to hook this up to here, that's not really going to work. I tried to hook this up to there, that's not going to work. Okay. All right. So is it greater than or equal to 0? That's not really what we're looking for, right? We want to know, is it greater than or equal to whatever our current index value is? So we're going to drag this back in here. This will be a get. And let's hook that up. Okay. And then let's compile, save that. And let's see what we got here. Let's do a quick simulation. That's not what I wanted to do. Simulate. Okay, it's going into here. I saw it do that. Okay, cool. All right, so let's see. We got a few more things to do here. We'll probably, since we're running a little low on time, we'll probably wrap or finish this up tomorrow's session. It shouldn't take a little more than 5 minutes, but let's go ahead and do some more coding while we're here. And we're going to say, okay, if the current patrol point is greater than or equal to the number of patrol points we have in our map, then we're going to set it back to 0. So we'll drag current patrol points back in. We'll do set. And we're going to hook this up, compile, and save. And we're going to, right here, we can just, that's what we want. We want to reset it to 0 so that our AI will go back to the first patrol point in the map. And just as a reminder, you would think the first patrol point would be 1, right? But it's actually 0. So everything starts with 0. So your index for the first point is 0. For the second point is going to be 1. That is something that I had a hard time getting my head around programming wise when I was learning. But just remember that 0 is kind of where you start. Okay. And after that, we're going to call again our custom function. And I forgot what the name of it is. So I'm going to go back here and see. Right click and hold, and you can drag. And that's what we called it. Move to next point. Okay. Move to next. So this is basically saying, go back and loop all this, right? It's saying go all the way back here and start over again and just continue to go through this. Oh, that looks like a little stray node there. I can delete that. Okay. And what happens if it's false? So what if we say, okay, we have 5 patrol points in our map, and we went through in here, and now the current patrol point is 3. So it will say, okay, we have 5 in our map. The current is 3. Is 5, or sorry, is that greater than or equal to the 3? And if it's not, because it isn't, right, then we're going to want to go to the false, which is basically to say, let's start our loop over again, but we don't need to reset to 0. All right, so wrapping up here, let's do a little cleanup. Okay, we'll say, I'll select these nodes over here, and I'm going to hit C as in Carl, the keyboard, and we're going to say, oops, move to the next patrol point. Get the Zoom stuff off of here. Next course we're doing Google Meets or something other than Zoom. Woo. All right. So again, once we comment that, we can move it around. We can compile and save. Okay. And over here, I'm going to say this is where we see increment our current patrol point. I can drag this over a little bit. Okay. And let me turn that off. Okay. And give these a little bit of color too. I'll make this a nice little bright purple. Make this one a green. And this will be our, I'm going to move that out of there, highlight this, see, and then determine if we need to reset the index. And what other obnoxious color can I pick for this one? How about ocean blue? Okay. All right. So let's wrap it up here. And what we've got is the beginning of our patrol looping system. I was hoping we would finish it, but we were so close. We'll go back in here. We'll test this out tomorrow, make sure everything's working. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have our AI, another AI, not go through patrol points, but rather randomly roam the field to go find a place on the field that it wants to go to, reach that point, and then find another place and just kind of randomly roam around, which you see a lot in NPC behaviors in games. All right, I'll stop the recording. Or did Zoom time out on me? I think we got zoomed.
I can still see it, hear see you.
Oh, okay. Maybe I got zoomed. Okay, I don't know where my Zoom window went. All right, guys. So awesome work. I will see you all tomorrow, and we'll finish up here. And yeah, have a great evening and rest of your afternoon. Bye.
See you.